Hey guys, thanks for stopping by to watch another episode here at ALliseeisW. In today's video, I'll be talking about latest updates with ETH. We'll be doing technical analysis of ETH as well as BitMine and SharpLink Gaming. What are the differences? Is there upside between BMNR versus SBET, or should I be holding both? What is the price prediction using technical analysis? I'll be going through those updates. And if you're new to this channel, I would really appreciate you hitting the like, subscribing for more related content. Let's begin, guys. We'll first start off with the post from Ash Crypto. He's saying this is massive for ETF. The US spot ETFs bought a record of 2.85 billion worth of Ethereum this week, marking the largest weekly inflow ever. BlackRock alone bought $2.32 billion of ETH. These guys 100% know something. So we hear about, BlackRock buying ETFs or Ethereum for ETFs, like for ETHA. There's also Grayscale, ETHE. There's huge inflows going right now. What does that mean? This is hedging towards Bitcoin and Ethereum to really transform how we look at traditional finance. As crypto also posts, BlackRock bought 2.32 billion worth of ETH this week. Meanwhile, they only bought 887 million worth of Bitcoin this week. Even BlackRock knows ETH is very undervalued. 10,000 ETH is confirmed. Ted posts Trump bought another $8.6 million worth of ETH and $10 million worth of a Bitcoin. Let the buy streak begin. So what is this telling us? I mean, even the Trump family are buying. Eric Trump just bought, 1,921 worth of ETH for $8.6 million. The buying doesn't stop. What does this mean? Let's take a look at strategic ETH reserve. Now, we continue to see companies trying to stack as much as ETH as they can. SharpLink now at 206,000 Ethereum that they just purchased yesterday. And BitMine, August 11th, they announced a purchase of 317,000. When you look at BitMine Immersion Technologies total HODL right now, they're at $1.2 million worth of ETH. And SharpLink has 728,000 amounts of ETH. Now, in terms of the amount with Ethereum, that's like $5 billion worth of Ethereum that BitMine has, while SharpLink has like $3.2 billion worth of ETH. So not too far behind, but I believe the race will continue. And most of you are wondering, is there more upside in BMNR or SharpLink? We'll go through those updates. Cody posts SBET currently holds 728,000 ETH. BMNR next buy would probably hit 1.4 million ETH. That would mean BMNR will have double the ETH in a short amount of time. That's all I have to say. Cointelegraph posts Tom Lee says Wall Street will stake ETH to be involved in the enhancement of Ethereum as it moves to financialize the world onto blockchain. That is the difference between centralized finance and DeFi. Crypto Genius posts, all right, this is crazy for SBET price to crash this much. Yes, today's numbers were disappointing, but now the stock is too undervalued. I mean, just look at SBET. It reached below sub 20 at $19.85, dropped 15%. In fact, I actually took advantage, dollar cost average. I really believe in the value of Ethereum treasury companies. And that's why, I'm a holder of BMNR and SBET, but just taking advantage of the dips because dips are surely gifts. ARK Invest continues to accumulate BitMine immersion technology. I mean, we heard, back in, I think it was like June or July when, Kathy Woods announced that they took a hedge towards, Tom Lee's company. Wall Street is positioning around Ethereum. I believe not only Kathy Wood understands the use case, but now even people in the government like Ethereum, even financial institutions are buying, Ethereum to supply their ETFs like Grayscale and BlackRock's ETHE. So things are just turning up really quick. But when you just look at the top number one holder, you see ARK Investments, right? With close to like getting close to 10 million shares of BMNR. That's a huge amount. And when you also look down here, ARK Invest again with 125,000 shares. So definitely ARK, the company, has over 10 million shares of BMNR. That's very bullish, and I think there's going to be some bullish movements to come. Bobby posts about SBET. If you like straight lines heading north, you'll like this. Total ETH rewards for SharpLink staking at 1326. Unrealized profit about $5.9 million. I'll keep posting updates. So we'll look at SharpLink Gaming's total staking rewards, ETH and unrealized profit. So you could basically stake to, validate the ETH blockchain, and in return you get like a 3% return. But just looking at the amount of money that they're making just from staking rewards, that's huge. And I think having a co-founder of Ethereum like Joe Rubin, he really knows the design, the infrastructure of Ethereum, how to best maximize return on investment along with co-CEO. I think this is really going to be a good dual relationship to really try to maximize the growth of, SharpLink shareholders. So very bullish, just looking at the staking and the return on investment with the amount of staking rewards. Now let's go through technical analysis. So where we are with BMNR, yes, we did see a pullback about 4%. It wasn't bad. But on that support level where it got to 29, I was, making videos to take advantage around this price point. It did get up to, up to the high 60s. I think it's establishing support around this range. Yes, there may be volatility, but I don't think Ethereum's going to have like a downward turn. I think it's just consolidating before the next leg up. But I really do think that as we progress towards near-term perspective, August, September, we may very well break through this, $87 represented in the green line. Just taking a look at the OBV indicator, OBV basically gives you a perspective of how price either moves up or down. And let's say price goes up and you see it correlating with the rise in OBV. That's basically the volume. You want to see more volume people buying as well, along with relative strength to continue to show strength, right? I mean, hence the name Relative Strength Index. We definitely saw RSI overbought during that time when it ran up to 160.94. It cooled down, and now we're in that right trajectory. But I do think on the near term course, as we head into August, September, we may very well have that nice breakout to, that $88 range is my perspective. Long term, definitely use case changes, but let's just, focus on one layer at a time. Let's take a look at technical analysis of SBET. So where are we when we look at SBET? Yes, we did see SBET run back in May for like $2 all the way up to like $126. Huge pullback, after that overbought situation. Then, created support around $9, and then they went $9 all the way up to like $40, like 12 consecutive days of green. And then it pulled back, created support around that $18 range. And recently we had a run up to like 2027. Now, currently, at that support, at that trend line, we're seeing higher lows. We haven't seen higher highs yet, but I do think that we will continue to climb. I think there's been a lot more inflows, with people buying ETFs for Ethereum, with buying Ethereum as well as looking for Ethereum treasury companies. I think the top two companies are going to be BMNR and SBET. And when people look at where value is, SBET potentially has value as well, especially with it dropping like 15%. I took advantage as well. I'm a holder of SBET and BMNR. I really like that dual approach. And I really do think that there's going to be upside between the two. One day, SBET might outperform BMNR and vice versa, which is why it's hard to predict. That's why I'm holding on to both. I like the upside, but on the near term course, technicals, OBV continues to increase. Yes, we had a slight pullback, but coupling that with relative strength, we're in that, that equilibrium phase where I do anticipate us to continue to ramp up. On the near term course, I'd say, somewhere in August, beginning of September, I'm thinking towards end of August, we may very well break out to like that $36 range is my perspective. So that's my overall assessment for my first use case before we look at different levels. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed another episode where today I gave you a deep dive analysis of Ethereum as well as comparing between BMNR and SBET, which company has more valued currently based on its share price. If you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate you supporting with the like, subscribing. Also, put down your questions and comments down below. I'd love to read through that as well as where you're all watching from. Thanks, guys.